If AI can write the email, lead the conversation, solve the conflict, why do they still need you? That question hit me hard after watching Simon Sinek talk about AI creating a generation of helpless humans. And coming from someone who has spent decades building cybersecurity teams across major organizations like Standard Chartered, Qantas, S&P Global, IBM, I felt that like a punch. We are the ones expected to lead human beings through complexity. But when we offload too much of that complexity to machines, what happens to our human edge? If you never have to struggle through the messy human parts of leadership, then you're missing the point. So that's what we're going to be unpacking today. And it's not anti-AI, but anti-helplessness. Because if you're building a leadership career on automation alone, you might be winning efficiency, but you're losing irreplaceability. Apply that to cybersecurity leadership. We are giving our teams boats multiple AI tools and capabilities, but are we teaching them to swim? We need them to navigate conflict, build resilience, and think ethically under pressure, own tough conversations with humans instead of just systems. The risk isn't just about how AI replaces us, it's that we replace ourselves by becoming passive operators of tools that we don't understand, making us less emotionally capable. Boardrooms don't approve based on tool use, they approve based on influence, insight, judgment, none of which you can get from a prompt. In my experience advising boards and CEOs on cyber risk, I've seen this pattern repeatedly. The leaders who perform best with senior executives are those who can handle human complexity that AI can't match. So let's talk about where we are slipping and how we can course correct. I'll walk you through 4 leadership traps AI is creating and how to sidestep each one. If you've ever wondered why the smartest team members struggle to lead, or why you sometimes feel unprepared for the human side of the job, this might be unlocking something for you. The first trap. We are trained to think, just get it done, just ship the result. AI makes that mindset worse because now we don't even have to go through the process. But leadership is forged in the process, not the product. Take writing a security policy. With AI, you could generate a near perfect draft in seconds. But what happens when somebody challenges you in a meeting? If you didn't wrestle with the trade-offs, like balancing things like user friction with risk appetite, you won't be able to defend it. And I've been in that situation plenty of times before. You won't own it, and that's key. That's what Simon was warning us about. When we skip the creative struggle, we rob ourselves of growth. A bit like a gym shortcut, we won't build real muscle. An AI shortcut won't build real wisdom. So here's the fix. Don't skip the reps. Let AI support your draft, but force yourself to go one level deeper. Ask why it did suggest this in the first place, and what you might do differently. And where's the nuance that AI can't see? So make it a co-pilot, not a crutch. In my years as a group CISO, the policies that have actually worked were the ones that I've sweated through the use cases, argued with stakeholders, and felt the tension between perfect security and business reality. Trap number 2, connection confusion. Understanding isn't the same as relating. And here's where I learned the hard way. Early in my leadership career, I coached a junior analyst through burnout spiral. I tried the usual cheerleading messages. Nothing stuck until I told a story. A time I almost quit cybersecurity, how it wrecked my sleep, and how I clawed my way back through meditation, fitness, and routines that probably saved my career. She didn't need a perfect sentence. She needed a real human story. That's the lesson. AI cannot simulate empathy. Get curious about teams' actual lives and use things like AI for scheduling, not mentoring. Use it for efficiency, not for empathy. Real connection isn't typed, it's felt. Now let me share something I've never talked about publicly before. There was a week when I nearly quit leadership cybersecurity altogether. An incident had just hit one of our organizations and the board wanted answers. My team was exhausted and I'd caught myself one night, hands over the keyboard, typing into a chat prompt to help me craft the incident summary. It wasn't the tool that bothered me. It was why I reached for it in the first place. I didn't want to feel stupid, vulnerable, or unsure. And that's when it hit me. I was using AI to avoid the discomfort. The very thing that had shaped my best leadership moments and learning opportunities. Those nights of wrestling with hard trade-offs, talking to angry stakeholders, and reflecting on what went wrong. I was trying to skip. That scared me more than the breach. Because here's the truth. If I wanted to grow into another kind of leader that I admired, I had to be willing to feel it all. Confusion, fear, doubt. That's the raw material of growth. From that day, I set a rule. I'll use AI to support clarity, but never to escape courage. This mindset shift is eventually what led me to start my own cybersecurity venture and earn recognition as one of the top global CISOs. Not because I avoided the hard stuff, but because I leaned into it. It's like getting dating advice from a robot. You might say the right words, but it won't help you feel the way through the relationship. How do we counter that? Create safe space for emotional rest. Start team meetings with check-in. What's the one human thing you are wrestling with today? Celebrate just not the wins, but the stumbles when someone tried hard and messed up. Build your emotional gym. AI can't give you the scripts, but only real life builds the skill for you. In my experience speaking at cybersecurity conferences globally, the presentations that connected most with the audience, the ones where you've actually lived through what you're talking about. And that's where I got the best results and the best assessments that came back afterwards. That was fantastic to get the feedback. So a quick recap. Don't let AI rob you of the struggle. That's where leadership is forged. Don't confuse simulated empathy for real human connection. And don't outsource your emotional growth. And if this is hitting home, hit the subscribe because it's part of just one of the many leadership series that I'm building on AI for you as leaders. Trap number 4, false fluency. You ever read a perfectly worded email from a team member and thought to yourself, that sounds nothing like them at all? That's false fluency. They sound polished, but not real, especially when you see them in real life and have a conversation with them. Because AI wrote it and they never learned how to communicate authentically. Now here's the danger. We praise the clarity, but ignore the hollowness until one day that person is presenting to a board and freezes because they never practiced in real life. Because the robot can speak for them now. Want to avoid that fate? Well, practice saying things in your own way, even if it's messy, even if it takes you longer. In a leadership meeting, I once stopped a colleague mid-presentation and said, pause the slides. What do you think in your own words? The insight that followed was pure gold. Find it through practice. This connects directly to why I've been successful in many of the roles and in boardroom environments. It's not because I had the perfect slides or flawless talking points. It's because I could think on my feet and communicate with authentic perspective under pressure. And I built on that time after time, and they became my learning experiences. So what do we do with all this? Here's your playbook. First, use AI to support, not replace. Think of it like a spell check. It can catch errors, but it can't craft your values. That's your job. Second, create emotional stretch goals. Third, reflect, then prompt. Before you ask AI, ask yourself, what would I say? What do I believe? And use the prompt as a mirror, not a mask. Fourth, coach the process, not the result. When your team shares polished works, ask them, what did you wrestle with here? Normalize the journey, not just the output. Why does this matter so much in cybersecurity? Because in our domain, we have uniquely high stakes environments to lead. We don't just need smart tools, we need strong humans with resilience. When everything's on fire, AI can surface insights, but only humans can deliver calm under pressure. Only humans can sense the mood in the room, Only humans can own blame and take responsibility. If we let our emotional muscles weaken away, we're not just weaken, we are more dangerous in our environment. And in the boardroom, that's where you win or lose trust. From my experience at organizations like Standard Chartered and Qantas, the moments that defined my leadership weren't when I had the perfect data, the when I had to make calls on incomplete information, manage the human dynamics under pressure, and communicate complex risks in ways that drove action and understanding. So train your cyber skills, yes, but don't forget leadership is human. Always has been, always will be. So let me leave you with a challenge. This week, choose one thing that feels hard and do it without AI. Write a raw team update, have an overdue one-to-one, just face-to-face, and craft your own point of view on a tough decision without a prompt. It will feel awkward. It will be slow because every uncomfortable sentence you write is something you learn how to swim. You don't build a boardroom presence through shortcuts. You build it through sweat. The leaders who can swim, not just steer the boat, they'll be the ones invited to shape the future. So make the discomfort count. And let's begin where we left off. AI isn't the enemy. It's a brilliant boat, but storms will come, breaches, layoff, tense boardrooms, burnt out analysts. But none of those moments matter if you're just using pretty prompts. So future-proof your leadership by practicing the very things AI can't touch. Storytelling, presence, empathy, judgment, self-awareness, because those are your edge. If this has hit home, don't click away, hit like, drop a comment, so subscribe and don't miss the next part of the series. Up next, influence like a top 1% security leader, and we'll break down the hidden habits that hold cybersecurity professionals back from boardroom influence and what you can do about it. Until then, keep showing up, keep feeling the discomfort, keep swimming, because the world doesn't need more fluent bots, it needs more humans. Darren, out.